Over the last decade, what I've been really interested in is how restrictions on employee mobility matter for workers, for firms, for society, and a lot of that has been studying the use and impacts of non-compete agreements. And these are terms within an employment contract that will prohibit a worker from leaving their employer and then going to start or join a competitive firm, often within a year or two after their employment, and then typically in a particular geographic region, which could be the state, it could be the whole nation, or it could even be worldwide. And so I was interested in how common non-competes are, how they affect workers, how they affect firms, how they affect society, how various regulatory approaches to non-compete agreements have affected workers, firms, and society. But what's changed recently, in part because of my research, is that we've learned how common non-competes are. In a body of research where I've been trying to understand how frequently workers sign these agreements and how commonly firms deploy them, we know that non-competes cover approximately 1 in 5 workers. They tend to cluster in high-income jobs. Executives, for example, are the most likely to sign non-compete agreements. Between 60 and 80% of executives have non-compete agreements in their employment contracts. But they're actually common at the low end of the spectrum as well. For example, workers without a college education still sign non-compete agreements at a rate of about 14%. And so what my research does is it documents that even unenforceable non-compete agreements can have chilling effects on workers, and that firms still regularly remind workers of their non-compete agreements, even though those non-competes are totally unenforceable. So the Federal Trade Commission, who was encouraged by President Biden to look into regulating non-compete agreements, has come out with a proposed rule to ban all non-compete agreements. It would require employers to rescind existing non-compete agreements, and it would prohibit them from entering into new non-compete agreements, and then notify all of their workers that their non-compete obligations are no longer existing. So what the Federal Trade Commission did to justify this rule is they wrote a notice of proposed rulemaking, which is a 200-plus page document where they lay out the economic evidence and the reasoning that they have behind this proposed rule. And in that, they cite my research over 60 times.